Hey there, Legal Tea listeners. This is your host, Jenny Roselle. We're back to estate planning of the rich and famous, where we chat about celebrities and their estate planning. Today's episode is on Farrah Fawcett. And like I said at the end of our last episode, where I always do a quick little hint at what the next episode will be about, I'm not sure what is better with Farrah, her acting or her hair. That would be a tough analysis. As always, let's talk a little bit about Farrah as a person first, like her significant others, her family, her career, etc., before we dive into what happened estate-wise following her passing. According to her Wikipedia page, Farrah was an actress and a model, and really began her career in the 1960s when she appeared in some commercials and a few roles in television. Though she really gained attention as a model when she did some modeling and it ended up on a poster where she appeared in a red swimsuit. And it sold 6 million copies in the first year of print. She looked beautiful in it. After that, she gained more attention when she starred in the show Charlie's Angels as Jill Monroe, which was the private investigator. And that's what really put her on the map as an actress, while the poster was really what put her on the map as a model. Thereafter, she starred in a variety of other movies, a lot of them, but just to name a few, such as The Burning Bed, Small Sacrifices, and The Apostle. Personally speaking, Farrah married Lee Majors, an actor himself, in 1973. But they ended up divorcing in 1982. Their divorce was finalized in 1982, but according to her Wikipedia page, they were actually separated before that in 1979. Around the same time is when Farrah met Ryan O'Neal, an actor, and ended up having a child with Ryan. That child's name is Redmond Fawcett O'Neal. Farrah and Ryan's relationship was up and down, to say the least. They briefly broke up in 1997, but ended up rekindling in 2001, and ultimately were together, supposedly, until Farrah's passing in 2009. Interestingly, during one of their breaks, Farrah dated a gentleman by the name of Greg Lott, who was a football standout at the University of Texas. After Farrah passed away, Greg shared, quote, "They had a loving, consensual, one-on-one relationship until she died," end quote. He claimed that Ryan kept him from seeing Farrah in her final days, and that their relationship, Ryan and Farrah's that is, was more for Hollywood more than anything. And we'll talk about Farrah, Greg, and Ryan more here in a little bit, especially when we get into Farrah's estate plan. So keep all these names in mind, okay? In 2006, Farrah was unfortunately diagnosed with anal cancer in 2006. Immediately, she began treatment, and 4 months later, it was reported that Farrah was cancer-free. Tragically, in 2007, the cancer came back and had spread to her liver. She sought treatment again, but tragically, a couple years later, on June 25th, 2009, Farrah passed away at the age of 62. And just a little strange fact, her death was sort of overshadowed by Michael Jackson's passing because he died a mere 12 hours after Farrah passed away. So following her passing, and I sort of hinted at it earlier, an estate plan was found. So yay, good job, Farrah. You did better than a lot of celebrities we talk about on Legal Tea. And it's really not hard to do better. I mean, merely having any type of estate plan gets you ahead around here. So let's dive in. Estate planning wise, Farrah had a living trust, according to a liveabout.com article by Julia Garber, and her trust had very, very specific instructions, which is one good thing about trust planning, by the way. Interestingly, as the article discusses, most of the time, trust planning results in the estate administration being quite private. However, a copy of the trust was somehow obtained by radaronline.com, and I'm sure we could come up with some juicy theories about how they obtained it, but they'd be merely theories and not factual, so let's not do that. But that is why we know so much about her trust, is because somehow it got leaked. We're going to start with what her trust said in way of what are called specific bequests. So if I can speak, specific bequests are things that come off the top. They're very specific in nature. So I'll use my estate plan, for example. I have a small monetary gift going to the Ohio Basset Hound Rescue Organization. And that's where we got our silly basset hounds from. So a little shout out to them. That is an example of what a specific bequest is. It comes off the top and it's something really, really specific. So Farrah had several specific bequests in her living trust. So according to Garber's liveabout.com article, here are her specific bequests. First, all of her personal property items like jewelry, clothing, furniture, etc., except her artwork, were to go to her nephew, Greg Walls. Second, Greg Walls also received a monetary gift of $500,000. Third, Greg Lott, the University of Texas boyfriend that made the claim about Ryan O'Neal not letting Farrah see him before she passed, well, Greg received a monetary gift of $100,000. Next, Farrah's father, who was still living at the time of her passing, she left him a monetary gift of $500,000 to be held in trust for his benefit. And lastly, Farrah's son, Redmond. Redmond had been in a lot of legal trouble both before Farrah's passing and after. Redmond received a monetary gift of $4.5 million. Now, Farrah did a really smart thing and left his gift in trust for his benefit. She put her friend and producer, Richard Francis, as the trustee of his trust. So basically, he's not in control, Redmond is not in control of his inheritance. Richard, as the trustee, according to the trust terms, is, quote, authorized to make distributions of trust interest to Redmond at least 4 times a year and up to once a month, but only from interest earned by the trust, not the $4.5 million principal balance, end quote. Richard, as trustee, can also dip into the principal of the $4.5 million principal balance if it's necessary for health care purposes. All of that is according to Garber's liveabout.com article, by the way, which is a really good article. When you do specific bequests like this, you still have something called a residuary beneficiary or residuary distribution article to basically be like the catch-all for anything that is remaining after the specific bequests are fulfilled. In Farrah's trust, her residuary beneficiary was the Farrah Fawcett Foundation. And Farrah actually had founded this foundation in 2007, and it was founded to provide monetary support for cancer research and prevention. And it has like a specific emphasis on anal cancer, which is what she ultimately passed from, and pediatric cancers. So notice that I never said Ryan O'Neal, her on-again, off-again boyfriend, and the father of Redmond. Interesting, right? That she never left him anything. Well, hold tight. because the biggest controversy in Farrah's estate case had to do with her artwork, and that involved Ryan. So in her trust, you remember, she stated that all of her, I don't think I mentioned this earlier. She stated that all of her artwork, so she had her personal property going to her nephew, Greg Walls, but she specifically accepted out the artwork, right? So she has all of her artwork going to the University of Texas. In 2011, a lawsuit broke out when the University of Texas sued Ryan, claiming that he stole a piece of art of Farrah done by none other than the great Andy Warhol. According to Garber's LiveAbout.com piece, the artwork was said to be worth around $12 million. But another article I read on ABC News said the artwork could be worth actually up to $30 million. The university claimed that the piece of art went missing from Farrah's residence after her passing. And according to the ABC News article, Ryan, as his defense against this claim, said that Warhol made 2 pieces of art, and that Farrah, even though all the artwork was supposed to go to the university, Farrah had given one of the pieces to him, Ryan, before she passed away to give to their son, Redmond. And don't you know, old Greg Lott resurfaced, still shouting from the rooftops that what he and Farrah had was real, and that Ryan prevented him from seeing Farrah in her final days. And of course, he came to the defense of the university, and basically was saying that Ryan was lying, he was a fraud, and used Farrah. But Ryan's attorney shot back at Greg and said that Greg was a convicted felon and was trying to make a profit off of the prior relationship he had with Farrah. And I think I did read somewhere that Greg was convicted maybe of a couple drug charges, I believe. Nonetheless, what a dramatic mess. So back to the lawsuit against Ryan by the University of Texas. The jury in the case ultimately sided in favor of Ryan. According to a CNN article by Ann O'Neill, many of the jurors found Ryan's testimony to be credible and believable. And while the decision by the jury was not unanimous, it didn't have to be. Ryan won and was able to keep the piece of art. Beyond the little snafu with the Warhol artwork, everything else went pretty smoothly estate-wise following Farrah's passing. And for that, I think we can learn a few things from her estate planning. First, I love how specific and custom Farrah was in her estate plan. I often tell clients that their plan is their plan, no one else's, and they can do whatever they want with it. And hey, there's nothing wrong with doing something very general and basic, like everything to my spouse and then everything to my kids. That's fine. That's totally fine. But hey, what if you did want to do something? What if you did want to do some charitable giving? Or maybe give to your grandkids also? Or maybe provide a specific distribution for beneficiaries who have issues going on, like Farrah's son, that will support them but not hurt them. Or even a distribution pattern for young kiddos, like they get X amount at 25, Y amount at 30, and Z amount at 35. The beautiful thing about working with an estate and elder law attorney like me is that we can make about anything happen estate-wise. You tell us what you want, and we can get it drafted in the legalese it needs to be in. Second, so another thing we can learn from Farrah is that, like I said, taking special care of her child. Redmond, who had experienced several legal troubles, probably would not have been super smart with that $4.5 million he received. Instead of Farrah saying, hey, I won't give anything to him, or saying, I'll just give it to him and whatever he does with it, it's on him, She wisely had a plan created to put someone else in charge of his inheritance and gave that person in charge very specific instructions on when money can and should come out. Beautifully done, Farrah. I do this kind of stuff all the time for normal people clients because after all, unique issues to overcome are not just prevalent with the rich and famous, and we all know that. So let's wrap this episode up. Next week, we're back to a cautionary tale episode where we talk about real life clients, real life cases, not like celebrity level cases. During that episode, we're going to be talking about making someone, like a child, for example, a joint owner on your bank account or on any asset, and relying on them to, quote, do the right thing and give it to your other beneficiaries when you pass away. Trust me, there are a lot of pitfalls in doing this. So yeah, tune in for that next Tuesday, Legal Tea listeners. Until then, take care and be well.